Dear Tennyson, on March 11, 1983, we received a call from ECFA asking us if we were few for a minute to come to the office. We were sitting in the office thinking that we were going to look at pictures. The office door opened and they placed you in our arms with a snotty nose and a binky. We loved you at first sight with our whole hearts. They said your name was Peter, but we wanted your name to be grand and memorable, so we named you Tennyson Lauren Gibson. When time came to finalize the adoption, we came to court and the judge called us up. He asked us to hold you up in front of him. He asked, "Are you happy and well fed? Do you want to be adopted by this family?" You squirmed and he said, "I take that as a yes," and you were ours. But then you grew up, and as is normal in life, your circle of influence grew and influenced your decisions. You left home at 17. You were in and out of rehab and jail. It was difficult to see you because we couldn't watch you slowly kill yourself. The last 3 years, I've watched you grow as a father, son, and partner. I've loved every minute of it. I noticed that you would recite scriptures sometimes, and you would say things that reminded me that you grew up in a Bible teaching church. It reminded me of the story in the Bible in the book of Matthew, where Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Whom do they say I am?" And Peter answered, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus replied, "I say unto you, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." And so it is. Welcome, Peter. We've never discussed your drug issues. I've missed maybe 10 to 15 years of your life. So I'm anxious to hear what was going on in that 15-year period.
Yeah. It's definitely a journey. I know, to be more accurate, it was 17 years that I went on a rampage. When I decided to walk away from home and figure out I could live adult life my way, I ended up discovering the use of drugs, of harder drugs, and I vaguely remember reaching out and kind of saying like, "Hey, this is what I got into," and you and Dad were like, "When you're ready, come home, we'll help you." And there were a couple of ups and downs and tries that I gave, but I want to say I really probably recognized how bad I was when 2004 came and I had my first overdose and you guys came and saw me in the hospital. That should have been a rock bottom, and unfortunately it wasn't, but it was my first realization of how intense and how much of a hold the drug had gotten on me. It led me to the point of 2017 to where I didn't care about the next minute. I didn't know what was in store for me, nor did I really care what was in store for me. It was like, as long as I could get my next fix, maybe that'll be the one that takes me out. And I don't want to say I was necessarily trying to be suicidal, but I didn't care anymore at that point. I really lost myself. and I didn't see any hope. And something kind of clicked for me. And I was like, okay, I want to end it. And if it hadn't have been for being stopped by the police that particular day, I don't think I would have stopped on my own. But when they stopped me and brought me in, I was full-fledged. I'm begging anybody and everybody, and I begged the courts. I sat for 8 months begging the courts to give me another chance to try. Okay. Haymarket was actually, there was 2 goals with Haymarket. First experience was in 2001. Very fresh into my addiction, didn't really even understand the drug world. And so I kind of left there prematurely. And then in 2017, was it November 28th, I decided to indulge one last time with my addiction, thinking, oh, I kind of had it beat, but I could just see what it would do. And it sent me to pretty much death. And by the grace of God, I was brought back from that. And I ran to Haymarket. Like, there was a detox bed open. I went there, and from there began a 6-month journey of just positive influence. The staff, like everything in there, like you had people to listen to you. You had people that had rebuilt their own lives. You had an example of anything and everything that I felt that I went through in my walk in my addiction. Right there present at Haymarket, and everybody that I came across, like walked in front of them and had this conversation with, contributed some way to helping me get to where I am today. So, Haymarket was definitely a lot different experience the second time around, but the first time I just wasn't ready to hear it. The second time I was more enthused and more focused and ready for any type of direction. And I feel like if you go into Haymarket broken, you can come out a new person, almost whole. I definitely appreciate the things that you described in my earlier years, because it helps to bring just a little bit more peace of who I am and where I was and how I started. But your ending in that story, it just leaves me speechless, but it touches me so much emotionally that I don't even know what words to say at this point, but thank you, and I love you greatly.
I love you too.